This is Chairman Jim Hughes, and this is a special meeting of the Ohio Industrial Commission is now being called to order. Today's date is June 26, 2024. Chair has 10 o'clock. This meeting is being conducted in person and is being held in the main hearing room of the William Green Building, located at 30 West Spring Street in Columbus, Ohio. The meeting is also being streamed on the Ohio Industrial Commission's YouTube channel. The link to listen to this meeting is available on the Industrial Commission's public website. The purpose of this special meeting is the potential hiring of a district hearing officer and the potential hiring of an interim executive director. The agenda of the special meeting is as follows: meeting call to order, the roll call, meeting minute approval, vote to enter into executive session, discuss the hiring of a candidate for a district hearing officer and interim executive director position. Vote on hiring of a candidate for district hearing officer position. Vote on hiring of a candidate for the interim executive director position. Then adjournment. During this meeting, it is important that prior to speaking the first time, each participant introduce themselves by stating their name and their title. This is to ensure that the audio recording accurately reflects the proceeding and that the public is properly informed. For those of you who are listening on the Industrial Commission's YouTube channel, please be aware that if during a special meeting the commissioners vote to enter an executive session, you will not be able to hear a live recording during that time. When the commissioners exit executive session, the recording will resume. I now ask our Executive Director, Tim Adams, to please call the roll.
This is Tim Adams, Executive Director of the Ohio Industrial Commission. As I call your name, please restate your name and affirm your presence. Commissioner Dan Massey.
Commissioner Massey here.
Commissioner Sherry Hottinger.
Commissioner Sherry Hottinger, here
Chairman
present.
Jim Hughes.
Chairman Jim Hughes here. We do have a quorum. First on our agenda is the approval of the meeting minutes from a special meeting held on February 22nd, 2024. Is there any discussion of the meeting minutes from these special meetings? Hearing none, I, Jim Hughes, will make a motion to approve the following meeting's minutes. Do I have a second to the said motion?
This is Commissioner Massey. I will second.
This is Jim Hughes, Chairman. Thank you, Commissioner Massey, for your second. I now ask Executive Director Tim Adams to call the roll, please.
This is Tim Adams, Executive Director of the Ohio Industrial Commission. As I call your name, please restate your name and state your vote. Commissioner Dan Massey.
Commissioner Massey, yes.
Commissioner Sherry Hottinger.
Commissioner Sherry Hottinger, yes.
Chairman Jim Hughes.
Chairman Jim Hughes, yes. Said motion does carry. Now we'll move to the next agenda item, which is review and discussion of personnel matters. There are personnel matters require discussion among the commissioners in executive session. Executive session is limited to a discussion of the potential hiring of a district hearing officer, as well as the potential hiring of an interim executive director, as well as any necessary legal advice. All votes will be made in open session. I, Jim Hughes, now move that the commission now enter into executive session to discuss the hiring of a district hearing officer, as well as the potential hiring of an interim executive director, as well as any other necessary legal advice. Do I have a second to my said motion to enter an executive session?
Commissioner Sherry Hottinger, seconds.
This is Jim Hughes, Chairman. Thank you, Commissioner Hottinger, for your second. I now ask the Executive Director, Mr. Tim Adams, to call the roll, please.
This is Tim Adams, Executive Director of the Ohio Industrial Commission. As I call your name, please restate your name and state your vote. Commissioner Dan Massey.
Commissioner Massey, yes.
Commissioner Sherry Hottinger.
Commissioner Sherry Hottinger, yes.
Chairman Jim Hughes.
Chairman Jim Hughes, yes. The motion to enter into the executive session carries. I, Jim Hughes, request that anyone who has not been invited to remain for executive session, please leave the hearing room until the commission reconvenes in open session. Please suspend the audio recording while the commission is in executive session. This is Chairman Jim Hughes. We're now back on the record and have executed executive session. For the record, during executive session, no votes were taken and no decisions were made. I'll next proceed to the next item on our agenda, which is the roll call vote to take action relating to the hiring of a district hearing officer and an interim executive director. Having reviewed the personnel matters in executive session, I, Jim Hughes, Chairman, now making a motion to approve the hiring of Ryan Bonita as a district hearing officer. Do I have a second for the said motion?
This is Commissioner Massey. I will second.
Having received a proper second, I will now ask our executive director, Mr. Tim Adams, to call the roll, please.
This is Tim Adams, Executive Director of the Ohio Industrial Commission. As I call your name, please restate your name and state your vote. Commissioner Dan Massey,
Commissioner Massey, yes.
Commissioner Sherry Hottinger,
Sherry Hodner, Commissioner, yes.
Chairman Jim Hughes.
Chairman Jim Hughes, yes. Said motion does carry. We will move ahead to the hiring of Ryan Bonita. The second matter discussed in executive session was the hiring of an interim executive director. I, Jim Hughes, Chairman, now make a motion to approve the hiring of Jim Burkhart as our interim executive director effective July 1st, 2024. Do I have a second for the said motion?
Commissioner Sherry Hodner, seconds.
Jim Hughes, thank you, Commissioner, for your second. Having received a second, I will now ask our executive director, Mr. Tim Adams, to call the roll, please.
This is Tim Adams, Executive Director of the Ohio Industrial Commission. As I call your name, please restate your name and state your vote. Commissioner Dan Massey,
Commissioner Massey, yes.
Commissioner Sherry Hottinger,
Commissioner Sherry Hodner, yes.
Chairman Jim Hughes.
Chairman Jim Hughes, yes. Said motion does carry, so we'll proceed to have him as our interim. And now I'll move to the adjournment as we have considered all other items on our agenda for the special meeting. I, Jim Hughes, move to adjourn. Do I have a second?
This is Commissioner Massey. I will second.
This is Jim Hughes, Chairman. Thank you, Commissioner Massey, for your second. I will now ask our Executive Director, Mr. Tim Adams, to call the roll, please.
This is Tim Adams, Executive Director of the Ohio Industrial Commission. As I call your name, please restate your name and state your vote. Commissioner Dan Massey,
Commissioner Massey, yes.
Commissioner Sherry Hottinger,
Commissioner Sherry Hodner, yes.
Commissioner Jim Hughes.
Commissioner Jim Hughes, yes. We are adjourned.